What is going on, guys? We're back playing some more Minecraft Unabridged, and today we're going to be starting working on a new room. So the last couple of episodes we've been working on this room right here with all our machines in it and stuff, but you might notice that there is no power coming to our ME system, at least right now. None of this stuff is lit up, or the drives aren't lit up, so we can't access anything in here, and that is mainly because I have pretty much disassembled most of our power setup right now using the Endergenic generators. Most of this stuff is not from our old setup except for the Tesseract, the power monitor, and the vibrant capacitor bank, so that's why we're not getting any power. It's because it's not completely hooked up right now. What I did is I hooked up the spawner and all the loot from that into our ME system through a Tesseract, and so everything is going to get brought over here. Eventually I will move the spawner actually over here, but what we're going to do is go to this new room, and I say room, or I'm using the term room very loosely because this is not really a room. It's pretty much just like a platform attached to a nice little doorway kind of thing right here. There's no walls, no ceiling, no nothing, but yeah, this should be fine to work on to set up our Endergenic generator setup again. And hopefully you can notice that these corp blocks are different from the factory blocks, and they're making a 6x8 square on the ground. Now that is because the Endergenic generator setup I use, if you haven't seen me make it before, and I've made it in numerous videos, it uses a 6x8 area. So we're going to actually have two, and I did not go and infuse the generators yet, but when I do infuse them, they will be much more effective. But right now, our entire base was getting way more power than it needed just using one non-infused setup. So for now, we're going to stick to one non-infused setup, and we're going to put it right over here, I think, in this one, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But I'm going to set it up here, and I'm going to do it on camera again just because I personally think it's really interesting. I really like setting up the Endergenic generator setup. It makes me feel really smart because I know how to do it. I can't actually explain behind like why everything works, but I always do link the video where I learned it in the description of all my videos. So if you're curious and want to get a better explanation of why it works, or if anything I do confuses you, then you can feel free to look there. But so it's relatively cheap. I always say this as like not really a disclaimer, but I just kind of tell people this. It's really cheap to set this up, and it's great because it's effective, cheap, easy to do. Now what I need to do here to make this room look nice is actually kind of change how I'm setting these up, because I want to have one thing that sends ender pearls to either of these when we need more power, and that means that we're going to have one thing right in the center here that goes to one side and to the other, and that means the pearl injector for one side needs to be like right here, and the pearl injector for the other side needs to be right here. So I actually think we're going to want to build it on this platform right here, and the pearl injector is going to be probably like right here, I want to say. I'm trying to think how we usually set it up. I think the pearl injector will be actually right here. It should go right there, I think. If we need to move it back one, I will, but we can lay it out now. So we got the Endergenic generators separated by 2 blocks each, so making a 4x4 square with them at each corner. We got to connect them to each other, and then we got to hook up the ender monitors to each one, and then we're going to have to go through and change these, or change the setting on these to when a pearl is arrived. And then we get to use all the nice rednet cables. I do know that you can set these up with a rednet controller. I do know guys in the server have done that, but I just don't feel like doing it. You know, why change it if it works? It's a little bit more compact. I'm not super worried about that. Oh my gosh, these connect down to these Z-tones blocks. That's annoying. Okay, so we got to fill this in here and along the sides, and we're gonna have to go through and disable a lot of these random connections we're getting, I guess you could call it. And then this one, actually we need to break this right here to put down the timer right behind this guy. Timer like that, and then we got to put down these sequencers all along this back here. And it looks like I was correct with the way I set it up, so we should be good. And I think these things look so cool. I really like the color setup like this, but unfortunately it's going to get all kind of jumbled up when we start mixing up the things with the smart wrench. But we can go through and start disabling all these center ones that are connecting to it from the center. The ground ones actually don't matter as much, like these connections that it's making to the ground right here. I can go through and change those later. It doesn't really matter right now. But then we also need to alter the connections on the sides of these right here because we don't need these. And There's a lot of connections. We don't need this one over here. This one right here. There we go. We don't need this one. And I think I might be missing this one right here. So I think that should be good. All these other ones should be necessary. So always use the same color setup. Whoops, that needs to get changed back to that. So this one's going to be orange. Then this one's going to be orange also. Then this one's going to be pink, or whatever you want to call that, pink, magenta, purple. You can choose. I don't know. Whoops. Let's get this back to what it's normally at. Okay. And then we got to cycle this one through to yellow. The only reason I don't actually like setting this up is because when you're clicking this, you can kind of misclick a lot because you got to click right on the white there, and that always screws me up. And then we can go through, and you can set these to the ones that are in front. I actually don't think we need this one right here either, now that I'm thinking about it. There we go. So you can set these to the one that's in front of it. I think, right? Yeah. Is it the one in front of it or the one behind it? Oh gosh. I haven't made this in so long. Okay, well, we're setting this one to blue right here. We can set the timer setup right now. This one goes to blue. This one goes to green. And then all of these get set to green. Right over here. Lots of clicking with the wrench. Man's best friend for this project. And keep setting all these to green. And then we go through over here, and this one gets set to your second color. This one gets set to your third. This one gets set to your fourth color. This one gets set to a new color you haven't used yet, so we'll go with pink. And this one gets set to your first color. And then this right over here gets set to the pink color, or whatever you chose as your new color. So that gets set to that. And then we can go through and set all of these. So you set them increasing by 3. So the first one's 3, the next one's 6, the next one's 9, the next one, was it? 9 was that one, so the next one, obviously it'll be 12, but I don't know which one it is, so then the next one, 15. Okay, so I believe these are rows of 8, if you were curious. Okay, so now I gotta remember this. I want to say that you actually set it to the one that is in front of it. So orange is in front of that, yellow is in front of this, blue is in front of this, and whoops. Oh, I already had that one set to pink. My bad. Okay, and then we can test it out, and if it works, then that's good. If not, then we know we did something wrong. This should be good, though. I think we got everything hooked up correctly, and now we can actually turn this thing on, setting the delay to 30. And it should run now. If we have stuff in it, it should be fine. Yeah, so it is. It is going. So what we need to do now is actually access our ME system, because we do need some ender pearls. And to do that, we can, for now, just slap down the capacitor bank and throw it on this tesseract next to it, and it should activate this over here. And we get some ender pearls. It's going to be pretty funny. I think ender pearls are going to be flowing in here, or they should eventually flow in here. Just because, yeah, okay, so now you can see they're coming in here, and we're going to have a lot of dimlets in here. Yeah, 912. I'll have to set those so they automatically get researched or identified or whatever. But we can come over here, try throwing this in, and verify that it works. So we want to make sure that it's actually generating as much RF per tick. It does fluctuate, so don't be fooled when it says, 1240 RF per tick. It will go up sometimes and go down other times. I'm not actually sure why, but yeah, you can see that it goes up. So it's roughly, I think I said 2150 average. It can spike above that, it can go below that, but that's roughly what it generates. So it generates power relatively quick, assuming it's not constantly, failing. Yeah, so or it's 2560 times 4 for the whole machine. So that seems to be good. So now what we can do is actually get rid of this, because we don't need to access our setup over there anymore for a little bit. And we need to hook it up. Actually, no, we do need to access that setup over there. And we can just use, I did hook up our remote ordering system over there, so we can just use this. It's a little glitchy, but what we want is to get some conduits. So we're going to need, actually we're going to need to upgrade some energy conduits right now, or we're going to need better energy conduits. So we actually have to go make some of those, because I don't believe I grabbed them from our setup. in the other base. Yeah, you definitely didn't. I only have item conduits. Oh, did I move the Tesseract? Gosh darn it. I put down the power monitor, not the Tesseract. Okay, so we can come over here. We do have some conduit binder. I really hope I don't need to make more. Did I not hook that up right? Is this not outputting to this side? Oh gosh, okay, so it should be outputting now. Yeah, there we go. We'll sleep just to make it daytime, because unfortunately not having walls or a roof on a room kind of makes it so you have to sleep at night all the time. And we can come in here and get the best energy transportation that there is. And to do that, we gotta search up conduits, and it should be this conduit right here. Oh, you know, we don't have any vibrant alloy. Okay, you know what, we'll set it up with these energy conduits for now, and I will change it when it's off camera, because I will make some more of that later. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all of these, and we're gonna hook them up, and bring them down here. And I'm trying to think how we want to do this to make it as effective as possible. So these will be transporting, and it'll be easy to set up for just one right now, but we actually want to set it up so that we can just throw a second one in here eventually, and it'll be fine. So I guess what we can do first before we actually hook up the power is hook up the AE portion of this, or the ME system portion of this. So we're going to break this cable. This is wiring my system all the way over here. There might be a better way to do it, but for now I'm just wiring it like this. We have no issue with channels, and it should be able to just hook up to an interface. And what we're going to do with this interface is, I guess we can put it, if they're right here, we want to go down below this block, and the interface can go, I guess, right here. So we can hook up the interface, and we can break this extra cable on this side. And we're going to do the same thing we did before, where we actually call an item to the interface. Now, I believe if I were to put 16 ender pearls in here, it would call a full stack at a time. But I think if I were to do one, it would only bring one over here at a time. And this might not make sense right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to throw one in there, and I think it should bring it over here. Our system probably isn't running right now, so we'll have to re-throw this stuff down. I guess we can just leave it down here for now. Make sure it's outputting on this side. It is not. There. Actually, yeah, okay, there we go. It should be working now. So an ender pearl does get called over here, and then we're going to bring these item conduits. Actually, you know what? We're going to want to do this. We're going to want to get that and put it right here. So I'll explain it, or why we're doing that in a second. So we'll throw the ender pearl back in here. Should do the same thing, call one up, and just leave it there. And then we're going to hook up item conduits, and we're going to go below the two pearl injectors, which should be, let's count, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, it should be right here. No, it should be right here. Is that? Yep, pearl injector, awesome. So we're going to wire them over, and we'll do this for both of them eventually. And the reason we're doing it right here and splitting it into two is because when we have this power monitor, we're going to do it so when it gets below, 50%, it outputs a redstone signal, which is then going to get brought over here, and it's going to allow pearls to be brought out of this into our system to generate more power. And what that'll do is it'll prevent pearls from being injected and like just going around in circles when we actually don't need them running. So this should be dropping it off in here, should be insert, and this one should be extract with redstone signal, the one time that you actually want it to extract with a redstone signal. And then we can fill this in up here with some more of these factory blocks. And I guess what I can do now is actually jump off camera and go and make some conduits, because we're going to need some redstone conduits and we're going to need better power conduits. So I will go real quick and make those, and then we will jump back. Okay guys, so we are back, and I finished getting all of our conduits. So we got the Ender Energy conduits here, which can carry a significant chunk of RF per tick, and we have our insulated redstone conduits. One thing I want to note is actually these should be okay if we're using two of these. I don't know if it'll work very well once they're upgraded though, because this RF per tick is roughly what 8 of these Endergenic generators would generate alone. Each setup generates a little bit over 10,000 RF per tick when it's running pretty evenly. So if we upgrade them, if that upgrades the output at all, then it would possibly bottleneck a little bit when it starts running through just one of these conduits, but I don't think that really matters. If you guys are doing this though with a bunch of these and are wondering why you're not getting as much power, it could just be because of power bottlenecking if you're using the conduits. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. But what we can do is run these across the top just like we did with the other ones initially, and try and use as few as possible just to keep it nice and neat in here. And we can connect them over here then. So all the power should be coming out right here. So then we're going to hook this up to our vibrant capacitor bank. Now if we hover over this, I think we should be able to see with just our hand. I don't know if you can see it with this one, but if you hover over these with, I think, other capacitor banks, it makes a huge box, and that is because you can combine a bunch of these and just keep tacking on different capacitor banks, and all it does is essentially make it like a bigger storage. So if I were to put one right next to it, it would make it 50 million RF, and another one, it'd be, there's 25 on top of that, so 75, 100, and just keep on going. Now that's not really different than just putting like a bunch of energy cells that can run together, but I guess it looks a little bit cleaner. So these work for now. It's essentially a 25 million RF buffer, since our power is, a lot of it gets stored in these, and on top of that, this system will run whenever we actually need power. So you don't really need to worry about having a huge buffer for this. This works it works better than you'd think. Like, look at this right now. Everything that's running right now is burning through this RF really slowly, and this could last so long. So what we're going to do is get rid of all this and make it look a little bit better. So I guess we can put it right back here, maybe let's try right here. So we can put it right here, and eventually this will kind of be like built into the wall. Let's put it like this. Whoops. Let's put it like that so we can see the energy level on it, and we can just break this block. Oh, we're going to need to sleep again. Time flies when you're working with Endergenic generators. And we should have just enough of these. We can input it right there on the top. Okay, so now the power should be going into this. Yeah, you can see it is just flowing in there. And we will sleep before we finish working on this, but now what we're going to do is set it so that when it gets below a certain percentage, that it should start pulling out ender pearls, throwing them into either system, and then when it gets to another percentage, it will stop pulling them out, and that way it'll work so that our system will always continue filling with ender pearls, and instead of constantly injecting them and wasting power, it'll wait until we need the power, and then it'll inject them, and it'll stop the minute we don't. So we can use the power monitor right here, and this is really cool. We can hook it up. Let's do it right below this, because you don't really need to be able to see this. We set the settings and then it's done. So what this does is it kind of hooks up to your system. It actually is not hooking up to this right now though, so I guess we might need to move it. Let's try, I think we actually might need to hook it up to a conduit hooked up to our system. So let's see this. Yeah, okay, so you can't just put it next to the block, it actually needs to be hooked up to a conduit. So I guess we can do it like this for now, and that'll just kind of be built into the wall too up here in case we need to change it, and we'll just put like some conduit facades on this stuff. But if we look at this, you can see it shows the storage that's in the actual conduits right now. It shows the machines and how much they're buffering, the actual storage that we're hooked up to, and the average input and output. So that's all nice, but that's not why we have it here. We have it here for this second one right here, which is the Redstone control section. Now, this is absolutely awesome. I know a lot of people do stuff like this when they're using big reactors to change when the yellorium is being put in and when it's not, so that it's not being wasted. But what you can do is make it so that it emits signal when storage is less than a certain percent full. So 75% full, that's fine. But the reason that I want to actually change this is because it doesn't matter if your buffer is 1% full, 10% full, 90% full. Okay, as long as you still have power in there, that it's not completely empty, so you don't get like a nice little skip when you're working with it. So I like to do 50. You could go all the way as low as like 5%, I think, without having an issue, depending on how fast you're burning through your power. I don't burn through it very fast, but if you could chug 10% of this in a minute if you're getting no power, then I would set it higher rather than lower. But the one thing that's really important is you want this to stop before 99%. It might sound good to stop it at 99%, like, oh, wait until it's 99% full and then stop. That is not what you want to do. And the reason behind that is because this is going to continue pumping ender pearls into your system until it is 99% full. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a backup of ender pearls in here that are going to be waiting to get injected and shot around, and you'll be at 99% and you'll be wasting energy with ender pearls. So there is probably like an ideal number. I haven't really messed around with it yet, but I'm going to guess like 75%. We can try that out. Should be okay. And that is the reason behind putting one ender pearl in this thing, is that instead of pulling a stack in and completely filling up that entire pearl injector before it gets to 75%, I think this should limit the amount of pearls that get sucked in that are going to be in there when we hit the power buffer that we actually want to stop the redstone signal at. So we're going to take these redstone cables right here, and actually, I might not have enough of these. I'm not sure. I might end up putting this. Let's move this real quick and just throw it. For now, we can just throw it right over here. Oh, that looks really gross because of the way it's oriented. Okay, let's throw it like this. Okay, so it should. So it didn't save the settings. Darn it. Okay, so 50, 75. And it should emit a redstone signal when that is the case. That is not the case right now. That's because these are all draining their power very, very slowly because it's not being burned through. But what we can do then is hook up this redstone and bring it all the way down here and move it over to the center and wire it right in here. So then if we click on this right here, we should be able to click on the redstone one. I always click strong signal. And what that'll say is it'll only extract ender pearls when it's getting a very strong signal. Now, there's sometimes it gets a little glitchy with this stuff, but for the most part, it should work like this. It just takes a little bit of trial and error to make sure it's hooked up correctly. But what this should do is emit a signal when it gets to, I actually don't know if we even need this set at strong signal over here. So I don't think we needed a strong signal over there, but what it should do is output a redstone signal when it gets below 50%, which will allow this to start sucking pearls out of this thing, putting them into this over here, and then this system will run, and the redstone signal will stop when the power gets to 75%, and then all the leftover pearls in there, because it will pull pearls in faster than it can use them, will keep going to get it all the way to 100%. I may need to lower it to like even 65% possibly. I'm not sure, but I'll test it out. I'll let you guys know in a future video. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I know I've done this a lot of times in the past, but you guys always seem to like these videos. I feel really smart when I do it. I think it looks really cool, all that fun stuff. But this is how you're going to automate it if you want to use an AE system and pull things out of your, or if you want to use, I don't know if people call it an AE or ME setup because it's applied energistics, but it's an ME system. But whatever, your applied energistics setup, if you want to use stuff in that to, automatically power this whenever you need it, this is how you do that setup. Like I always say with this, it is a great power generation method that a lot of people don't use. It's very underrated. It's very easy to set up. As always, the link in the description will take you to a video that explains it significantly better than me. The guy does a phenomenal job of explaining it and teaching you guys all the different ways you can do it with normal redstone, rednet cables, rednet controller. There's a ton of different ways that you can do it depending on what mod pack you're in. But I would suggest this power to anyone. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to give it a like. As always, be sure to post feedback in the comments. I always read the comments, and I love when you guys do comment, which is phenomenal. And I guess I will talk to you guys later.